Hello and welcome to Live at 5. We've made it. We've gone through a whole week. It's a Friday evening, and you've made it to the best way to start your weekend. Live at 5, here with Gabe Phillips. I'm flying solo tonight. We've got rid of Mark Van Pletzen, so anything goes tonight. But all jokes aside, we're giving him the night off just so he's able to spend some time with his family. He'll be back on Monday. Yes, there will be a Live at 5 on Monday, even though it's a public holiday. Just a little shout out to you. But tonight, it's all guns blazing. We're so excited because on a personal note, we have got Beast from the East. They call him the White Beast. My brother, Simon Phillips, everybody. There he is. Come on.
Hey
The
guys,
captain.
how's it?
El Capitano.
Hello guys, yeah, I've said this disclaimer here. My cap says Capitan. So we've got fantastic time. We don't have a mountain in Pretoria. We've got fantastic Chinese stores and viruses. But this says Capitan. So if you look closely, but it just goes with it rolls off the tongue so easily. But yeah, El Capitan up here from Pretoria.
The Capitan from South Africa. This is my middle brother, or I'm the youngest of three. We've got three brothers. If you've never been able to have the privilege to see us all together, we've got an older brother called Damien, who I'm pretty sure will be weighing in with some comments just now, some interesting comments, and we're very excited about that. But we'll see. We'll wait and see until we can see what he says. But we're very excited to have you here, Simon. You are no fan to my preaching stories and preaching analogies. And before we get on, the question that's burning on all of our lips right now is people often ask me when they see you, they see me, they look back at you, they wonder what happened to me, or better put, what happened to you in this story? How did you get to the size you are compared to me? What happened in our family?
Simple story: horizontal stripes. Stripes are a win. It's a fashion heads up for scrawny guys.
I like it.
And if you have a bigger build, just be careful with that one. Yeah.
And somebody's already weighing in on the comments saying that, did you once have a fourth brother that he ate? Is that true, or is that just a rumor?
It's a rumor, but and we'll keep it there. Yeah. Remember, we're from Zim, guys, so it's touchy subjects when you come to food. Yeah.
But if you are just joining us, whether it's on Instagram or Facebook, you're wondering what is going on. Is this just indulging in families? Are we going to get Gabe's mum on next week? Sue and Rowan, that might be a good idea. But no. We really wanted to touch base with the pulse of Pretoria. And there's no one that I know who knows what's going on in Pretoria and in the country like this man, a man who is passionate for the Lord. But let's just deal with our differences as well. We mentioned the difference in size. We got to talk about the elephant in the room, and no, I'm not talking again about your size. I'm talking about the fact that you are a Blue Bulls supporter and yet a Christian. Are you able to reconcile the two?
Listen, let me be honest with this one. You know what? All masks off. When we first came from Zim, most Zimbos are Shark supporters. I think that's because it's our holiday destination of choice. So you naturally progress there, and then later on you move to city. So I moved to Pretoria. And when I first came to Pretoria, I couldn't stand the city. And I told myself 5 things. I said, number 1, I will never live in the city beyond as is required by my course that I was studying. I said, number 2, I will never support the Blue Bulls. Number 3, I said I'd never, ever go out with an Afrikaans girl because I got more bet than De Villiers on the double step from Afrikaans chicks. And then lastly, I said I would never, ever listen to Afrikaans music with even half a ear. So, number 1, I've never left Pretoria for 18 years.
Yeah.
Number 2, I worked for the Bulls. Number 3, I married Hester Gemina Meyer Barnard.
Yeah, good.
And then number 4, Robbie Wessels, the famous Robbie Wessels, was one of the groomsmen at my wedding. He's probably the most Afrikaans singer that you can get. So, never say never. And Bulls for life. The funny thing is we've got a packed rugby trophy cabinet, but an empty stadium. In Pretoria, we've got lots of horse on the shelves of the butcheries, burgeoning shelves, but there's no braais. Yes. And I think you can't get a place with a city with more churches per street corner. But on Sundays, they're dead and they're empty at the moment. Huh?
It's crazy times, and I know you mentioned Robbie Wessels. If you're watching, and this is how clickbait works. Simon will be doing a vision of the Lualup at the end of this interview, so stick around for that. Who knows what will happen? But if you are watching, and maybe you are a fan, we do have our family watching online, so it's nice to have the whole family and and some of our friends. Nice to see you guys. But just a thing that we do need to talk about is our similarities as well. We talked about the Bulls. Let's get out the way very quickly. What is your thoughts about Liverpool Football Club? Do you feel that we deserve the title?
Gab, we're all mad, passionate supporters here. I don't know who's not a supporter at the moment of Liverpool.
Yeah.
A few haters have been creeping out of the woodwork. If you're not a soccer fan or aficionado, don't worry. When people ask you, just naturally go to Liverpool.
Just say
you'll
Liverpool.
You'll get a trophy response. But no, we are big fans, and we are excited for the victory that will come to us, whether we play a game further or not. But otherwise, we are champions in our hearts, man. But Gab, it's funny you say that because I think so many sporting events, and we all know these cute quotes like the stadiums are empty when we worship sports, and concerts were empty when we worship musicians. But everything has come to a grinding halt, including our beloved sports. And the funny thing is, in the first weekend or two, we all mocked with our mates. The guys said, what do you do at home without rugby and a dop and a this and a that and whatever the things that we take for granted to be a nice weekend. And so the funny thing is that naturally, and without even knowing it, actually these things have become quite vague in my memory as to pertaining to what is quality time and what is being with the people that mean the most to you. And then again, loving on the lonely, man, loving on people you would never love at 5 o'clock on a Saturday afternoon when Loftus was being torn apart. So there's a lot of different angles coming out of this sportless season.
No, you're right, and I must be honest. I'm having to. I've been searching and trolling the YouTube channels to find some sort of sport to watch because it's been a tough time for us. We're just trying to bounce back. But the reason that we've brought you on, Si, is not actually because of the Blue Bulls or Pretoria or Liverpool or any of these things. But actually, I've often spoken about you, and the thing that I love to boast about is that you're a man of passion for everything you do, passion for life, passion for your family, passion for business, passion to see people into the fullness that God's got for them, but ultimately passionate for Jesus. But I know that you were the first person, I often tell, one of the first people that showed me what a passion for Jesus looked like when we were growing up in Zim. But I know your journey, and we don't have the time to go through all the ins and outs of it. You grew up in a strong Christian family, but then you moved to Pretoria, as you mentioned, and there was this love-hate relationship with Pretoria that's now just become full-on love. And then for a season, you walked away from the Lord. The question I want to ask here that's not often asked is, what brought you back to the Lord? I think there's a lot of people this time who are praying for family members, praying for people who are far from Jesus. What brought you, Simon Phillips, back to Jesus?
Quite literally the voice of the Lord. So I always consider myself not to be a higher grade Christian, and I always would take the Lord on at his word. So in the sense of, if I, and no disrespect to people who see a feather in the sky and a piece of gold dust there, but the Lord, and give them a sign. But I always said to the Lord, I want to hear you speak. So I literally hear the Lord speak. I'm a lucky guy in that. I miss a lot of other things, but I really, one day in heaven, I cannot be called short for not hearing his voice. There's a big onus on that as well, because it's a big call to obedience as well.
Absolutely.
But I have a past of drugs and of nonsense and just clapping all the 10 commandments there. And so what happened was, I just got to a point where I got to the end of myself, and I said, hey, Lord, meet me at my point of honesty. And he said, all right, let's get honest. And so I literally heard the Lord say, Simon, you're done. And I was done. And from that day on, I listened as closely and as properly as I could. So God always meets us at our point of honesty, and we meet each other at our point of honesty. We meet our spouses at our point of honesty. So Gab, that's my key, man. It's just absolute obedience. For a long time, I struggled with the word, what is faith? And I think people say now, guys, you should have faith for this lockdown period. Just have faith. And I think as believers, we often hear all these words that have become very Christianized. So until a few years ago, I'd lost the meaning of faith. And I got to the point, and I got so self-righteous that I thought, if I pray and I really squeeze my eyes tight, Harry Potter-esque, and I really put on 15 Hillsongs, worship songs, and and then the Lord's going to move his hand. And one day I was challenged on that, and I started doing a bit of self-study, and it's so easy with the internet these days. And the biggest word that stood out from the concordance was faith equals obedience.
Absolutely. Come on.
So in my industry as a trainer, I can tell people have faith to lose weight. Have faith to get a six-pack. There's nothing like that, man. It's like, just don't eat the cream pie.
Come on.
If you struggle with alcohol, just don't have a last whiskey. The hardest decision is the best decision. So I started making hard decisions with my body to get muscles, and I applied the same principle to my spirit, and life turned around.
I think it's massive. And we actually, you've touched on it, we are, as a church, decided in this season to actually preach faith. And we're preaching from Hebrews 11. But in every single story and account as you read, you realize that faith has its twin called obedience. That you can't have faith without obedience. Because everyone desires something. But if you don't have obedience, desire in itself is not enough. So I just love that about you. There's this uncomplicated nature with your relationship with Jesus, hearing him and obeying. And I just think it's an incredible thing. So if you are watching tonight and you're saying, God, give me a word for the season. Here's your word, obedience. Obey what he said. I believe God will take you further than you could ever imagine. But on that note, Si, you're a man who's, the passion for the Lord is burning inside of you. And it's not, you don't believe in a private faith. You have a faith that's one-on-one with Jesus, but I've just watched your life. Your life is infectious. People are drawn to your life, are drawn to what you speak about. Tell us about that. Well, how you feel so often, maybe even in religious context, believers are quiet about their faith. But at this time, more than ever, I think believers, we're the purveyors of hope. We got to be speaking. We got to be using our platforms not to speak conspiracy, but hope. Tell us about how you've been approaching that in your life.
So I think for a long time we almost used God as a genie in a bottle when we were sort of like very basic Christians.
Yeah.
And then obviously in the big word that we know in our faith, that a lot of faiths don't know, is relationship. We all know that thing. It's not religion, it's relationship. But we say it so often that we don't really grasp it properly. So what I started to really find in myself is just looking at my own life, that friendship comes before function. I've got a great analogy of this, and it's such a good way to think about prayer, is that growing up, Gab and myself, we never went to our dad, who's a fantastic father, and we never had to say to him as 6-year-olds, listen, Dad, this month would you please pay the water and lights, or could you please go to Durban next year for a holiday? And if we're really good, we only got those things via default because we were his children and we spent time in his lap.
Yeah.
If we were wayward children and we were retrobates and were not on his lap and had no relationship, the function of fatherhood will not come through.
For sure.
So how much more is our Heavenly Father, as great as Simon Phillips is, how much more does our Heavenly Father have for us? And when that penny dropped, and guys, tonight the thing is this, it's your head, and it's a 30 centimeter drop into your spirit.
Yeah.
The head knowledge and spirit, to know it, and once you know it, once you've been revealed that the Father has my interests, but my life and my passions at heart, you chase the Father at heart. And when you get the face, you get the hand by default. We search for his face, and the hand follows. So it's a relationship, Gab, yeah.
And I love that about you. If you do not follow my brother on social media, he's worth a follow. This is not a self-plug for him, but I think so often if we spend time on social media and we see the words that are coming out of Christians' mouths at this time, there's a lot of negativity, fear, anxiety, and we share things on social media thinking it's only Christians reading it, but actually unbelievers are watching. And they're picking up on these things. And I love what you've done with your social media, but I think it's not a front. This is who you are. It's bleeding, as you mentioned, out of a place of relationship, but it's filtering into every avenue of your life. I love your videos. It does irritate me a little bit that we work incredibly hard on our sermons and a couple hundred people and mum and dad watch them. But then you put out this video and thousands of people share them and are finding encouragement from them. Why do you think there's this appetite for hope? And a lot of them are from people who do not know Jesus, but are longing for this hope. What is that longing coming from at the moment?
Gab, the thing is this, that for years, I tried to play a polished Christian, and meanwhile, I was cracking at home. Yeah. I still crack at home, and I'm honest about it. And I say, but God. My wife and I had a fight, but God. So I'm brutally honest with people.
Beautiful.
For years in the corporate industry, and I speak a lot in corporate, and I do a lot of motivational speaking, and I would go and knock at doors and try and impress. And then one day I realized I don't have a cool CV. I know nothing to tell these people, apart from my point of honesty. And I say, this is who I am. These are things that I struggle with, but God. And the world has got the whole internet at their fingers. The world, and they're watching, and the world knows gray when they see gray. They call out a fake video on Facebook very quickly. And they're looking for black and white. They might mock it, but I promise you, they're looking for original. They're looking for real. So when you're real first, and you say, "But God," you become relatable. And remember that saying: friendship before function. We want to do function of you need Jesus, and then later on, hey buddy, come over for dinner. Hey, love the person, and let them decide what rubs off on you. I've said this so many times, but last year I made a career change. I started moving more in career, change of ministry, and motivating people. And suddenly I had time on my hands. And I would wake up in the morning. And for the first time in my life, I wasn't waking up at 3 in the morning for work. I'd be in the bed, and then suddenly, Casey, my wife, would leave for work after me.
Yeah.
And someone once told me one afternoon, she said, "Listen, Simon, when I greeted you today at lunchtime, I gave you a hug, and you smelled of DKNY apple perfume on one side of your cheek and baby powder on the other. You must have spent a heck of a long time with your wife and your baby this morning, because you're still smelling of it. What you spend time with, you will become. What you spend time with will be your flavor."
Good preaching right there. That's a good analogy. I like that, but it's so true. And I think the question that I want to just flow on from there is, you mentioned about how you're making a shift in your life and some of the business aspect. I think, tell us a little bit about that journey. You're a man who's passionate about business, passionate about being infecting and loving the world, and not retreating behind four walls. And I know when you say ministry, you don't think of a Sunday thing. You think of a Monday through Sunday thing. I would love to boast about this man. You've started many businesses, and some of them didn't get off the ground. Some of them you were intimidated and backed away in the early days. Tell us about, maybe just encourage, before we get onto the ministry question of seeing your business as ministry, if you're speaking to people, of entrepreneurs, startup business owners, people in this time who the voice of fear will be loud and intimidation will be loud, what would you say to encourage them at this time not to back down?
Yeah, I'll give an example. I spoke at a very big company a year ago, and I stood in the wings, and the guy was announcing me, and it was all the international stakeholders were there. And I pushed up with my Bible and my little portable speaker, ready to do my little shindig. And as I was standing there, and the CEO was announcing me, my friend, the guy who got me in there, he said, I said to him, I whispered, I said, "Hey, listen, quickly tell me, who was your speaker last year?" He said, "No, it was the CEO of Nike." And I said, "Oh, from Bedfordview." And he said, "No, from Arizona, the main guy."
Here we go.
And I said, and the year before that, he said, it was Johan Rupert. And he said, and the year before that, your friend Rory Dyer. And so I said, "Jeepers." And immediately this guy, and the guy, but he immediately saw the fear of man come over me. And my confidence dissipated.
Wow.
And suddenly I started checking my earthly CV.
Wow. And
so and the guy grabbed me by the shoulders and said, "Simon, we got you here for a reason. Like, we know you're not a CEO. We got you here because you are you, and there's something special inside of you." So I got up on the stage, and for the first few minutes, I had a bit of stage fright, and then I was just told by the Lord, "Tell your story, be real." Yeah. So my opening line to you guys and to the people was this: is that and where you are tonight is, I may not have a fantastic CV, and I can't stand in front of these amazing guys at this conference I spoke at and talk about facts and figures. I have no clue of that. I don't know how to even work this laptop in front of me. But what I do have, and what I told them, I said, when you all go home, you take that CEO badge, you take that charming HR smile off, and man, you go home to alcohol, you go home to pornography, you go home to massive depression. And I said, now are we on the same page?
Yeah, there we go.
With that, I can do stats, and I can do figures, and I can do cures. So once again, friendship for function, and meeting people at their point of honesty, which is your honesty with yourself and your Savior first. Yeah. So that is my in always. Unless I'm being real with my Savior and my wife and myself, the favor shuts off. The Lord wants me primarily. Once I'm functioning, we function as a church.
I love that. I've got a friend called Rich Gordon, and he's got long dreadlocks, and he's a perfect combination of the right and left brain. He's this incredible genius, but also incredibly creative and out there, and quite theatrical and engaging with people. And I love the fact that when he got this call to go to, because he's an engineer, he went to Namibia to present to the head of the army, the military then in Namibia, present an engineering understanding, this idea that he came up with. They told him it was a suit and tie event, and he didn't own a suit and tie, and he ordered, same story, felt very intimidated. Hey, I've got all this stuff, but I know it's got value for them, but everyone's going to be judging the product outside what it looks like. And so he put on a T-shirt that had a printed tie on it. That's all he had. But I remember he went there and he just had to remind himself again, actually, who has God called you to be? And I love the fact when I chat to you, it's the simplicity of the gospel. We try and get in our heads so often, and in this time of COVID-19, we can start looking for different strategies when actually go, who do we trust? Who do we trust, and who has called us? And I love that, and I think it's an amazing privilege to be able to remind ourselves that who we are is who God's called us to be, and that is what's going to get us through if we keep stepping out in faith and obedience in this time.
Man, Gavin, that's so cool, because it just segues so nicely into this next little point that I've got, and it's like, when we realize this, that the world's schemes are one way, God is always in the opposite direction. He'll shock you with how opposite he is. And the world yells that God, small g, or their God or their industry, calls the qualified. And how does that end? Our God, what we believe in, is God qualifies the called.
Yeah,
and what I realize is I haven't always been the most talented, but when I've been the hungriest, and and it sounds very cute in Hollywood, but in my marriage, we had a lack fight yesterday. But were we hungry to solve it? Was I hungry to say I'm wrong? Was my wife hungry to say she's wrong? Yes. There's hunger takes different guises. Yeah. The prize goes to the hungriest. Luckily, not the talented. Luckily, he is more talented than us.
That's so good.
So yeah.
And in our family, obviously, you were the hungriest. But people are asking, who is Simon Phillips? This is my brother. If you're joining us on Instagram or Facebook Live, Simon is the middle of the three boys. We've got an older brother, Damien, who's probably more talented and better looking than all of us, but we'll hold him for another day. But this is my brother, who is also unofficially the mayor of Pretoria. So if you're not following him on social media, you're missing out. But nice to say hi to a whole bunch of people, the Dinkleys, the Bartles, Andrew Wilkins, a good friend, jumped on and said hi earlier. Nice to see the Phillipses. So it's really good to have people shouting in there. But Si, why don't you take this moment now? I think the big trump card that I love is that you can speak to a wider range of people than many people can. And it's not because of anything really, except for the fact that you've got this beautiful view that you don't separate business and ministry. You're a Christian who loves business, who loves people, and I love the fact that you don't compartmentalize your life from Monday through Sunday, same message, same heart. Maybe could you speak, if people are listening right now and they're going, actually, how do we merge these two seemingly polar opposite worlds, where in business it is the strongest, the fittest gets further, but in the Christian world it seems a different message. How do you navigate that divide?
Okay, so I'll start off with an awesome quote from a friend of mine. It says, "The carnal man, encouraged by the world," so everyone who's on lockdown and is fearful for next week, "is like a thermometer, living from the outside in, pushed around by life, by circumstance, by feelings, by lockdown, by fear of the school calendar, and fear of my paycheck. The quality of food, company, the weather, whatever. The spiritual man and woman, which we are, is more like a thermostat." So think of those things overseas in the cold areas which affect the temperature of the house. It changes the temperature of the house, alrighty? And they live from the inside outward. That's who we are, gang. Enjoying and releasing the atmosphere of heaven wherever we go, no matter the atmosphere outside. Yeah. Do you know that life dictates how you are, or Christ in you? Who dictates you, life or Christ? Massive question. Black or white, no gray. Your answer to that question will tell you so much about who you are and what is the Lord of your life, or who is the Lord of your life. Come on. There are places in God where you'll want to leave the best party just to sit with your Savior and then go back and affect the party. It's blessed you to be on tap into the resident riches within, as truth sets you free. And guys, like I've said many, many times, for me, Gab, whatever the thing we spend time with is the thing that we become. And the whole world, guys, the whole world is stressing that this disease doesn't care about your Rolex watch, your holiday destination. Everyone is in trepidation waiting for a president to speak. We wait to that thing like it's Sunday service now. You can't wait to hear what he says. And we're making an idol of those things. And everyone is fearful of it coming. But I feel that we are in starting blocks and we are hope givers. Come on. And there's a natural, there's a supernatural blessing on the hope givers. Blessed are the hope givers, guys. Yeah. The world is waiting for it. When you walk into work, everyone around the water cooler is going to go, woe is us, look at our money, look at our country. But guess what? There's a blessing when you speak life, life follows. And I promise you, this is all I have to say. I have nothing in my CV to say anything else but God, but speaking hope. That's the only secret I have, is speaking life.
And I love that about you, Si. And I want to bring this thing together here. I love what you just challenged on. The faith and obedience can't be separated. The two go together. But I love the fact you say, actually, speak life and hope follows. And I think that's the message of your life. And actually, something simple that we need to pick up at this time. Actually, if you're in a tough marriage, if you're in a tough situation at home, a tough financial future, start speaking the word of God and then start walking in it. And actually, you'll see miracles happen. And I just love that about you, Si. I actually love the uncompromising nature of your relationship with Jesus. And I think it's something that we all need to lean into at this time. I had you on because, yes, number one, you're my brother. But number two, I think it's an incredible testimony of just the simple gospel. And actually, when we take Jesus, when I say the simple gospel, it's not to undermine it in every level. It's when we take it simply at what it says, then we see the profound power of it unleashed. So, Simon, one more thing. Anything left to encourage people? Anything left burning your heart? Do you have a flex for us? Do you have a challenge? Let us know. Come on, unleash it.
There's that, I've said it many times, and it's such a lacquer statement that you hear often. It says, I am the captain of my fate, I'm the master of my destiny. Yeah. You're not the flipping captain. That's a load of nonsense. Everyone's a captain until your bank balance is empty or your wife leaves you. So he's my captain, and I'm going to go and run this little Pretoria ship and have a lacquer time with our family tonight. But guys, prize goes to the hungriest, friendship before function, and keep pressing in, man. All right, thanks for having me.
I'm the captain of my soul. That you're not the flipping captain, as Simon said. You heard it here first. He is, and that's Simon quoting from the great poem Invictus, just to show you that I'm well read. I'll tell you.
Nice,
there we go. Educated in Zimbabwe. 2 thumbs up for that. But anyway, thank you so much, Si. Really, really cool. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. We really are praying for you this weekend. We've got services on Sunday, 8:30, 10:30, and 5 p.m. It's going to be part 2 of Are You Crazy? And then we'll be back on Monday with Mark Van Pletsen right here at 5 p.m. with Live at 5. We love you hugely. Si, thanks so much, and we'll see you guys soon.